The icons at number 3 on our list work so closely together that they are often referred to as the two-headed director. They are visionaries so respected that they've had final cut on every one of their films since their debut, Blood Simple. Joel and Ethan Coen are the postmodern geniuses of American cinema.
There's no way that I would ever say no to anything that Joel and Ethan wanted me to do, because I know there's an inherent challenge in anything they offer.
They're fantastic. They're amazing. I would do every movie with them if they'd let me.
Over the past 10 years, the Coens have delivered 7 truly original films that are nearly impossible to categorize. From Fargo to Oh Brother, Where Art Thou to The Lady Killers, their movies blur the conventional lines of comedy, drama, and tragedy.
When we think about each movie, we're trying to make it different from the last one or different from the last, all of them. I mean, you want each story to have its own kind of integrity, so whatever connects them is there in spite of what we're trying to do, not because we're trying to give them all the same sort of flavor.
They write their own material, which I think is really hard to do. And they've been able to create, different worlds in each film that they've done. And their imaginative powers, they're really highly developed.
Soft-spoken renegades who seem to have created a genre of film all their own. The Coen Brothers have a way of somehow leaving their audiences both unsettled and amused.
There aren't any gags per se, you know what I mean? We don't stick in any jokes, and yet people always laugh. I don't know what it is. Probably some failure on our part. We make these serious movies and people laugh.
From the moment I saw Raising Arizona, I knew that these guys were special. I mean, the way that they're able to mix comedy with drama, they're unclassifiable, and that's what makes them special.
Absolutely, I agree. I haven't particularly liked their last 2 films, but the rest of them are spot on, and I think it's amazing that filmmakers who've only really made, I think, 11 films total, can have their own film language. You can now say, this is a Coen Brothers type film.
There's just those weird moments. You can't describe them, and only the Coen Brothers are able to pull it off.
Right. The icon at number 2 describes himself as a regular guy from Flint, Michigan, but he has become the most powerful cinematic revolutionary of our time. A hero to many, a clown to some, he's managed to turn his homespun documentaries into global socio-political events. No filmmaker has stirred more controversy in the past decade than Michael Moore.
A lot of people are realizing that it's not whether it's fiction or nonfiction. It's about, whether you're telling a good story.
He followed up his highly acclaimed debut, Roger and Me, with 1997's The Big One. And in 2002, he became a political lightning rod with Bowling for Columbine, a searing attack on America's gun culture. It won the Oscar for Best Documentary and grossed more than $58 million.
No film can change anything, really. I mean, but hopefully it'll get people thinking about, things I'm trying to say. If it gets people leaving the theater talking about the issues, great.
In 2004, Moore produced his most daring film to date, Fahrenheit 9/11, an all-out assault on the Bush White House.
I wanted to say something about the times in which we live in post-9/11 America, how we got to where we're at, what's happened to us as a people, and have a good time doing it.
Bob and Harvey Weinstein partnered up with Lionsgate and IFC to release the controversial film, and it became a cultural landmark, grossing more than $200 million. Topping Moore's own record to become the most successful documentary of all time.
The good thing about Americans is once they're given the information, they act accordingly, and they act from a good place. The hard part is getting through with the information.
Well, unfortunately, I don't think the audience members quite followed through with what Moore wanted them to do after seeing this film. But nevertheless, I think a good piece of filmmaking leaves an audience with questions, and you can like his films or hate them again, but it's the questioning that you come out of them with, I think, that makes it so good. And also, he's just opened the door to political documentaries. I mean, we've seen The Corporation, Control Room, even Super Size Me. People are willing to take on corporate America now and challenge the status quo, and audiences want to see that. I think that's refreshing.
Well, I saw Fahrenheit 9/11 the opening weekend, and what frustrated me most about seeing that film was being annoyed that why weren't some of these things explored in the mainstream media?
Right.
Why weren't the people in the newsrooms doing their jobs? And it really frustrated me that I had to pay $10 to basically watch what I should have seen on the news. I mean, you may disagree with Moore's approach, but, you know, some of those facts are undeniable.
And also, I mean, he says as Bush has got a sequel, then there's going to be a sequel to Fahrenheit 9/11. So, you know, maybe by 2008, audiences will react differently at the polls. Who knows?
We'll see. And finally, we are here at number 1. This icon started his career as an actor in the late 80s, and while his biggest role was an Elvis impersonator on an episode of The Golden Girls, he fared much better once he decided to step behind the camera.
Really, I feel like my only obligation is to my characters and to be true to them.
His debut, Reservoir Dogs, got people talking, but with the release of Pulp Fiction in 1994, Quentin Tarantino officially became the wonderkind of independent film.
What do you have to say out there to all those people who are currently struggling and wanting to make their first film?
Basically, I think the number one thing to tell the people that want to make a first film is make it. Don't talk about it. Don't wait for every circumstance to be just perfect. It's like if you want to make a movie, all right?
Pulp Fiction was a bold, bloody, and bizarre conglomeration of Tarantino's favorite movie genres, from exploitation flicks to film noir to the French New Wave.
I love the idea of trying to bring some of Godard's anti-cinema techniques, all right, into mainstream movie making at the time, but just, you know, regular Hollywood movie. I thought, you know, that would be cool.
He'd so clearly, you know, spent his life distinctly envisioning that movie almost frame for frame.
Pulp Fiction won the Palme d'Or at Cannes and was nominated for just about every other major film award.
Quentin Tarantino.
Quentin Tarantino for Pulp Fiction. Samuel L. Jackson.
Thanks, Quentin. You the man.
Hey, man, you the man. Hey, thank you. No, thank you.
He followed it up with the underappreciated Jackie Brown. And after a long hiatus from directing, he returned in classic over-the-top Tarantino style with Kill Bill Volumes 1 and 2.
I think his canvas is just getting bigger and bigger and bigger. Pulp Fiction was brilliant, sharp, clever, and very contained. And I think with the Kill Bills, you can see his creativity just, you know, improvising itself into a whole different arena.
I guess what I love most about Quentin is he started in a video store. I started in a video store in Michigan. It gives those of us who work retail hope that we could one day be filmmakers.
There's still hope, Chris. Don't give up. I never worked in a video store. I love Quentin's films. I think that especially I like the evolution that he's showing as a filmmaker. I think when you look at a film like Kill Bill 2, you see performances from actors and a real emotion in his writing and the performances that wasn't there before. And I think that's reflected in the fact that he was chosen as the president of the Cannes jury last May. He's really grown as and is respected as a filmmaker.
And I love the way he uses his female characters in his movies. They're rarely damsels in distress. And also the use of colorful language. You know, no one quite uses an expletive like a character in a Tarantino film.
Absolutely. Well, that is 10 years, 10 icons as promised, and that will do it for us. Thanks for watching.
See you in another 10 years.